On today's episode, we're going to recap the first week of free agency for the Bengals, go over who they re-signed internally and externally, probably spending more time on the notable ones, and we're going to get into a little bit of how much crow I might have to eat, what I got wrong, where I was dead on, and maybe what they're going to be trying to look for now as the first wave of free agency is over and we're going into the kind of the waning couple weeks. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Way of the Dad podcast, where we fearlessly dive into the depths of dadness. If you like what you are hearing, please share the podcast and give it a review on the platform where you listen. Thank you. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. And so it's been a very interesting, kind of a shocking, if I'm going to be honest, kind of a shocking free agency as a Bengals fan. Maybe fans of other teams get to enjoy this all the time, but not us Bengals fans. Typically, historically speaking, the Bengals have been, even when they've been in like the last couple of years, they've been more aggressive at getting free agents. They've been more aggressive at, addressing their weaknesses on the roster through free agency. But even those couple years, they're always kind of willing to let the first big wave of free agency right off the bat, let it pass by them, let it, wash over them, or whatever you want to call that, and then see where the dust settles, and then they start to do what they're going to do. So it's been very, very interesting and maybe shocking is a better word to see how they attacked free agency this year. I'd say for anybody who had any concerns about whether the Bengals knew that the O-line was just not good enough last year, I think you can put those to rest. I think a lot of what they've done is pretty intelligent overall. It's been surgical, tactical, and, it's obviously had a plan. So let's start with who they re-signed that was on the roster last year. So even though these were free agents and technically not contracted with the Bengals, it's not like they've extended them. They re-signed people who were on the roster last year. We got a couple Mike Thomases. We got wide receiver Mike Thomas and safety Michael Thomas. Good signings, depth signings. Really like those. Both of them are primarily special teamers, but they do. Sometimes injuries happen. You need to call on that depth. They also re-signed quarterback Brandon Allen and long snapper Clark Carris. Clark Carris, I think, is really important to have, even though he's a long snapper and he has literally one job. It is difficult to be really good at that one job. And I don't know if you've ever seen it when teams have they have a botched punt or a bad snap on a kick. Those can be game changers, big time. And they can give a lot of momentum to the other team. So having a very sure hand there, so to speak, is a good thing. Know a lot of people were a little disappointed that they re-signed Brandon Allen as opposed to potentially upgrading at backup quarterback. I don't think the Brandon Allen signing precludes them from being able to upgrade at backup quarterback. They could still draft someone or pick up someone on the waiver, in free agency, or maybe someone that gets cut after the draft that they perceive as probably a better performer than Brandon Allen, but would only need to call on him in an emergency, such as, Burrow's down. So I actually like this signing of Brandon Allen. re-signing, I guess I should say. And I didn't feel that way initially. And then I had read or heard, I cannot remember where, but apparently this was something that Joe Burrow wanted the Bengals office to prioritize, was making sure that Brandon Allen stayed. Apparently Brandon Allen is one of the people that's in Joe's ear when he's out on the field before the cutoff time. I think it's like 15 seconds before the snap they cut off the microphones or the microphones in the quarterback's helmet goes off. But up until that cutoff, Brandon Allen is in his ear, telling him what he's seeing, what kind of coverages they're using, or maybe what kind of package is out there, what defensive package. And apparently Joe Burrow really likes the communication he has with Brandon Allen. So that's interesting. Getting into a couple things, and quite frankly, maybe the only two things I got right from last week's episode. Let's just say many things took a turn, but we'll start with the two things that I can say that I was at least right or pretty close to. They re-signed B.J. Hill, which was huge, because I know I said this, and apparently a lot of other people felt similarly. It was kind of an either-or situation with Hill and Ogunjobi. Ogunjobi left, went to Chicago, got a big agreement set up and everything, and then failed a physical. So jury's out on him, questionable, don't know where he's doing, don't know if he might end up coming back to Cincinnati or not. But as of right now, he's not, and they did re-sign B.J. Hill, and they did that pretty quickly. They announced that pretty fast. I think it was day one. And I'm really happy they got him. He was a big part of our Super Bowl run last year. And I think they value him a lot. I think he's a great locker room presence. And I mean, let's not forget, this guy was kind of a bit of a, let's just say he was a luxury item for the New York Giants apparently, or maybe potentially a bust. And we got him in the trade for Billy Price, who was legitimately a bust for us here. So it's great that we re-signed him. And the one that tends to singe a few people's backsides, a few fans' backsides get a little burnt on this one, is Eli Apple. Now, they signed him to a 1-year, $4 million deal, and that is not starter money. That is not a long-term contract. That is backup cornerback, depth, and maybe lack of options money. Okay? So I don't think for even a second that they really want Eli Apple to be the starting cornerback, but I think they really value him as a guy that they can rotate in and out as needed depending on what the offensive packages are. So I'm happy with those. Let's move on to the outside or external signings. So the Bengals, they literally hit the ground running. I think it was registered at 12:01, which is 1 minute after the legal tampering period began. I'm sure you can hear the air quotes, which is hilarious. Why don't you just call it the start of free agency, but whatever. And it's amazing. They were not allowed to talk to Alex Kappa or Ted Carris's agents about contract terms until 12 o'clock on Monday. And somehow they had Alex Kappa terms agreed to in 1 minute, 60 seconds. So anybody who thinks that the Bengals don't have literally the best contract people on the job is out of their minds. I'm sorry. I can't keep it up. Yeah. So that's all theater. We all know it. We all know they're all talking behind the scenes all the time. So, but they did. They came out and they hit it hard right off the bat. Alex Kappa, we got him, and he is now signed. This is, the Sunday after. So he's a guard, typically right guard from Tampa Bay. And even with Brady unexpectedly, at least to some, unretiring and really throwing things into a tizzy. I mean, kind of like just, flipping the poker table over, throwing it all on its head. Alex Kappa decided not to stay there. And I think it was because they knew they were going to need a whole bunch of people to take some very, very, very big hometown discounts, so to speak. And he didn't want to, but at the same time, we didn't overpay. We got him at a good value. He's a very good guard. He's a massive upgrade over the rotation of Adeniji and I'm going to put most of this on Adeniji. Adeniji seemed to be the best option at right guard, even though it's not very good. Jackson Carman did okay there, but Jackson Carman's natural side is the left side. He was a left tackle in college, and when he did play left guard last year, he played better. But his back was hurt, so he was pretty limited the last half of the season. So we definitely upgraded a right guard position. Not long after that, they came out with the announcement that they had Ted Carris, who is a center and guard. And I mean, he plays all three. He has played all three positions very well of the O-line. They have him listed on the website as a center, so that seems to be their plan moving forward, barring some kind of unforeseen signing or something that falls into their lap, so to speak, that changes their plan. He will be the center. Well, he'll be slotted as the starting center, I imagine. And this guy comes from the Patriots and the Dolphins. He played for both teams. Bill Belichick talks really highly of him. There's been some quotes out there about what he thinks of him, and he thinks he's the kind of guy you're going to get the exact same amount out of him every single time, every snap, every position he plays. He's extremely consistent, he's extremely reliable, and he's very smart. So I think we did a great job there. Last signing that we have as of Sunday afternoon, about 1:15, 1:30-ish, is tight end Hayden Hurst. Now, this goes back to something where I was dead flat wrong. I thought that they would re-sign C.J. Uzomah. I thought there was no way, unless he was offered like literal pennies and a bag of chips. There was no way he was not going to re-sign with the Bengals, so I am very wrong there. I have some delicious crow cooking for me right now. But CJ decided to go to New York, the Jets, of all places. I wish him nothing but the best, and I know a lot of people. I'm on a lot of the local Bengals groups, and there was a lot of people very hurt, and I understand that. I don't know, maybe I've been a Bengals fan for too long now that I'm just used to, being disappointed in a player's choice or, kind of quote unquote, the team being left at the altar, so to speak. I'm used to that. But at the same time, I kind of get it. CJ needed to make money. He had a chance to make more money. I mean, I do know that the Bengals contract offer was not as much as the Jets, but I didn't get the impression that it was significantly less. It was less. And, sometimes when it comes down to it, less is less and more is more when you're talking about money. And this move seems like it's about money. He wanted to make max money, the max money he could make, probably because it'll probably be his last contract. I hate to say that. He has a little bit of an injury history now, not an extreme one, but, it's very unlikely, and this is nothing against CJ particularly, most of these players, there's not a lot that gets second contracts, let alone third. We think of football, we think of all the big names. You forget about all the other small names, the ones that are in for 2 or 3 years, and then they're gone. There's a reason why they say the NFL stands for not for long. But we did sign tight end Hayden Hurst. He was drafted 25th overall by the Ravens 4 years ago, I believe. I think that's the 2018 draft, if I remember correctly. I am cautiously excited about... I know everybody thinks cautiously optimistic, right? No, I'm cautiously excited about this particular signing. He signed a 1-year deal. I think it's like $4 million or $5 million. It's very much the classical prove-it deal. So we are not stuck with him long-term. He's going to get paid $4 or $5 million this year, and it's on a prove-it contract. They may extend him if they like what they see. I still think this tells me they're still going to look for a tight end in the draft, because Drew Sample's also on his last contract year. That being said, Hayden Hurst has a chance to do something he's never really been able to do. He's never really been the featured tight end. He was drafted by the Ravens, and then, supposed to be the featured tight end, and then Mark Andrews goes and becomes all-pro Mark Andrews. Okay? And so he gets relegated to kind of secondary role, second tight end role. He gets traded from there to the Falcons because I guess they felt like, yeah, we're not getting our money's worth out of him or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the first year he's there, he's the featured tight end. And he had numbers that were on par with and even somewhat slightly better than CJ's numbers last year. And then the Falcons go out and draft Kyle Pitts. And Kyle Pitts goes all Kyle Pitts. And so Hurst gets relegated to the secondary tight end role, despite what he was told, which was he was going to be the featured tight end. Listen to some of his introductory press conference. The guy seems super stoked. I mean, you know, you hear the normal stuff and you hear kind of the canned, really excited to be here, really looking forward to getting with the team, blah, 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 blah. Hooday, go Bengals, whatever. You know, it's very canned. He seems really excited about the fact that he finally gets to really go do it. Go be a pass-catching tight end. My understanding is his blocking skills are not the best, although he's not a joke out there blocking. But Drew Sample will probably be doing the blocking, and he'll probably be doing the pass-catching end of things more. But I think he has a chance to really shine, because now, if you have the top, the trio out there, you have Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, and you have Hurst, and you have Mixon, that's a problem for defenses. Because anytime they rolled Sample out there, I mean, it was basically everybody could go, well, pretty much, keep him in the corner of your eye, but we all know Joe ain't going there. And if you're double teaming Chase and you're double teaming Higgins or you're double teaming Boyd, that just gives Hurst a chance and Mixon a chance and whoever else isn't double teaming a chance to really not only catch something, but to also break free. Okay. So, I'm really excited about the Hayden Hurst signing. I think he could be pretty awesome. And if things go really well, they might end up extending him into a long-term contract. They really like what they see, and then they get a chance to draft somebody to groom, let Sample go, and this new tight end and Hurst are kind of like the amazing duo or something, at tight end. So quickly, we'll recap where I went wrong. Obviously, CJ, that blew me out of the water. I was shocked to see that. I didn't figure he would chase pure dollars over wins, over a Super Bowl, over, things like that. But, I wish him nothing but the best. Couple other things. I was wrong on, let's see, let me check my notes here. Oh, I was wrong on virtually every outside free agent I mentioned. Teron Armstead, probably not. Ryan Jensen, definitely not. Carlton Davis, cornerback, no. Laken Tomlinson, I'm pretty sure he got re-signed. J.C. Jackson, whoa, no way. Not with that contract. Good for him. He made a ton of money. Orlando Brown with the Chiefs, I don't know if he's still out there or not, or from the Chiefs. I don't know if he's still out there or not. Austin Corbett, I believe they re-signed him. I'm not 100%. Gronkowski, he has not signed anything with anybody, but considering that Brady's back, I doubt he's gonna be sticking around, or I doubt he's gonna sign anywhere but with the Bucs. Evan Ingram, I believe he got signed up somewhere. Cam Robinson from the Jags, I'm not 100% sure on him. I think he got signed, but I'm not 100% sure. So one of the people I did mention was Lael Collins from Dallas. I thought it was interesting. Very interesting, having lots of connections. He's got LSU connections like Joe Burrow and Chase do. He's got Frank Pollock connections. So he was in town for the weekend, and there was a lot of incorrect updates. There was a lot of incorrect reporting. There was a lot of sightings, kind of think like Bigfoot sightings, but like with a regular, just really large guy who happens to be, a football player. And then there was a lot of people having fun with it on the Facebook groups and stuff, photoshopping a picture of him. I guess they took a picture of him and he was at Kenwood Mall, and then they photoshopped that. he's here, but now he's here, and he's over here, and he just went to the bathroom. I don't know if it's number 1 or number 2. If it's number 2, he's going to sign. It was quite enjoyable to watch, I'm not going to lie. Of course, a lot of people got really irritated with all the fake updates mixed in with the incorrect updates mixed in with he hasn't signed. He still hasn't signed. Why hasn't he signed? What's wrong with him? Why did he leave the stadium? We don't know. Well, he's out of town, and I believe he went to go meet up with Miami. He is going to, he's going to get the lay of the land there, and we'll see. He is not the only option. Yeah, he is definitely not the only option. Trent Brown's out there, Darrell Williams, Billy Turner, and heck, even Riley Reif. Riley Reif is still out there. So we're not out of options on right tackle. It's obvious that they really want to address right tackle. It looks as if they decided they were going to rebuild the right side of the offensive line. They must feel pretty good about Williams, Jonah Williams at left tackle, which he's not bad. He's not a liability over there by any means of the word. Don't think he's quite Andrew Whitworth, but he's been pretty good, and he's solid, and he's reliable. And I think they're planning on letting Deontay Smith and Jackson Carman basically compete for left guard, because that's both their natural side, is the left side. A lot of people think, what is it I saw? Something about, sign Teron Armstead at left tackle and just move Jonah to the right. That doesn't work. That doesn't work unless that player has exhibited or shown some capability of doing that. That's like me saying, let's say you're right-handed, and you've been right-handed your whole life because, well, that's how it works. And then now I say, actually, I need you to be left-handed, and I need you to be really good at it. So, not an impossible task. And if you go and you spend time doing left-handed things, being left-handed and forcing yourself to be left-handed, can you get better at doing things left-handed? Of course you can. Will it ever feel as natural? Probably not. Not everybody can flip. There are some people who are good both ways. They're more ambidextrous, if you want to call it that. Most aren't. So this whole thing of just move Jonah to the right. No, come on. If they were going to do that, they would have already signed a left tackle. That's what I believe. So Jackson Carman and Deontay Smith will probably be competing for left guard. When Jackson Carman was on the left guard position last year, he did play a lot better before he hurt his back, and that's what limited him the rest of the season. Trey Waynes, to my knowledge, has not been released yet. And everybody's freaking out about why not. He's just stolen money from this team, blah, 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 blah. And I get that. But it most likely has to do with the fact that they have not signed his replacement, which leads me to some very recent rumblings, rumors, water cooler talk, whatever you want to call it. Apparently, the Bengals, now that La'el Collins has left town and, maybe wanting to show him that, hey, we're going to move on here if you don't, there's probably some strategy in this, I assume. But it looks like as if they've been reaching out to Stephon Gilmore's agent to have him come in to be the starting cornerback opposite Awuzie. I would really like that to happen. I'm not going to lie to you for even a second about that. That would be phenomenal. And then having Eli Apple as a backup and having Mike Hilton in the slot, that's great. That's phenomenal. I don't know if it'll pan out. I don't know if Stephon Gilmore's even mildly interested in coming here. But sometimes money talks, So that's where things are at the moment. I think the Stephon Gilmore thing's a little interesting. We'll see. Probably be talking about this again next week. And, but yeah. So let me know what you think. Who should the Bengals be targeting? If especially if it's someone I didn't mention or someone that I'm not aware of. Who should they be targeting? Who should they be looking at? Should we go with I don't want to say lesser right tackle, but maybe someone other than La'el Collins that, maybe isn't quite as good as him, but we can get him for a higher value proposition, and we're still upgrading over Isaiah Prince? Because remember, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about upgrading. The whole idea of we're going to have 5 all-pros on the line, come on, that's not happening. But can we upgrade over Isaiah Prince? Absolutely. So who should we be looking at, especially if I didn't mention him? what other cornerbacks are out there that we could be looking at there? And once free agency is done, then we'll be able to kind of really start looking at what are they likely to do in the draft. So that's all I got for now. Let me know what you think. Hit me up on the Facebook page. Message me direct through Facebook. You can email me if you want. But until next time, take care and have a great day. Thanks for listening. The Way of the Dad podcast is produced and recorded by, well, me, a stunningly average husband and father, who appreciates all of the likes, shares, reviews, and support you give. If you would like to reach out, you can find the podcast on its Facebook page, and of course you can email me at wayofthedadpodcast@gmail.com. Come back next time as we continue to fearlessly dive into the depths of dadness.